Three suspects accused of instigating violence in July 2021 will appear in court as well. Their identity is yet to be revealed at the Durban Magistrate's Court. They're facing charges relating to inciting public violence. Now, last week, 22 alleged instigators appeared before the same court in connection with the public violence that gripped parts of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng in July of last year. Let's get you more on the story. Our reporter Karinda Jagmohan is in Durban for us. Karinda, so there are several court appearances of alleged instigators that are taking place at different stages.
That's correct, Michelle. In fact, we hear from the ground that in total, 84 suspects have been identified that are linked to the violence we saw during July last year. And so far, like you mentioned, 22 suspects have appeared before the Durban Magistrate's Court. And over this weekend, 3 more suspects were arrested, 2 of them in KwaZulu-Natal and 1, we understand, from the Free State. So their identities will be revealed today when they make their first appearance in court. And we do expect another postponement. Last week, when the 22 suspects appeared, they were granted bail of 3,000 rand and told to return to court on August 26th, when we hear that the entire group of suspects that are being arrested by various law enforcement authorities will make arrests and appear in court together. So that is essentially why we expect another postponement today. But we haven't seen any prominent names among the suspects that have been arrested so far. In fact, there is a report by News 24 that reveals that the 22 suspects arrested last week were people that are not really known. Among them, a primary school teacher, an employee of a car dealership in Durban who was recently a SASSA grant recipient, a Department of Health worker who works at the Harry Gwala Hospital, a financial advisor at a major bank, and an employee of an optometrist. So these are just some of the suspects that appeared in court last week. Again, not prominent figures who might hold a position of influence and who may have actually instigated the violence of the July unrest. But we do expect to hear more of the identities. And of course, these suspects are being charged with a conspiracy to incite public violence, the incitement of arson as well, among other charges that relate to the July unrest. And at the same time, the trial of Bonginkosi Kanile starts today in Durban. He has also been described or alleged to be an instigator of the July unrest. There's video evidence that shows him speaking to crowds of people in just the week before the unrest started, calling on people to burn tires and block roads in the name of the former president who had just been arrested at the time and was taken to the escort prison. So that trial is getting underway at the same time. Kanile pleads not guilty to these charges. But of course, now we see a year later, only now really the wheels of the court are starting to turn, or the wheels of law enforcement authorities are starting to turn to try and hold someone accountable for that deadly week in July.
Yeah, absolutely. And there will surely be questions around, the evidence against these alleged instigators in the face of, perhaps, as you say, more prominent names that do come to mind when we think of the July unrest. Karinda, in terms of convictions so far as a result of the unrest, what can you tell us?
So there have only been 2 convictions in terms of the alleged instigators of the unrest. We understand that there have been various apparent looters that have been convicted and are facing various sentences or have been told to pay fines before the court. But last week there were 2 people convicted of public violence, committing public violence. They were arrested on Queen Nandi Drive. We were there during the July unrest. The entire place was in a wreck. Fires all along that very important road in Durban linking the warehouse sector of Durban towards the residential areas. So they have been convicted before the court. There's currently a trial that will get underway in September regarding a suspect who was believed to have incited the fire at the Brookdale Mall in Pietermaritzburg. We were there as well. And his trial, his Ndumiseni Zuma, his trial will get underway in September, also described as an instigator of the unrest. And like we have been saying, we saw during that deadly week in July, political figures or people related to political figures posting messages on social media, including Twitter, almost encouraging the unrest. We saw the likes of the former president's daughter doing the same thing, and those tweets coming on a Twitter page linked to her identity. But we haven't seen any law enforcement authorities discuss the arrests of known political figures who they may have evidence of that incited this violence. Remember, more than 300 people died during those 8 days, and the economy saw major losses. There are still people, everyday business people, who are trying to rebuild from the ground, and some who have even left behind their businesses because rebuilding is far too costly in the current times.
Karinda Jagmohan, thanks very much indeed for that update. You'll keep us up to speed as this latest court case unfolds in Durban.